Let us try to solve the exercise number 5 in the part B of PHP lab. In this particular exercise, we are supposed to create a feedback form with the fields like the name, email, subject, and message. And we are supposed to store the submitted feedback data in the MySQL database, which can be used for other purpose in the later case. So we are supposed to just store it, and we are not supposed to do anything after that. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's create a PHP application. I have NetBeans with me. One thing you must understand here with the NetBeans is that for a project of this type, like wherein you can complete the whole thing in one page itself, there is no need that you have to create a new project or anything of that type. If you have old project, you can go to the source here of the project, and on the source you can right click and say add a new PHP file to the existing project. So this is going to be a straightforward thing. You don't need to every now and then there is no need that you have to create a new uh, project as such. So you can directly go over here and then create a new project, I mean a new web page, and then continue with it. But for the demonstration purpose, I'm going to create a new project. It's absolutely not required for this kind of exercise, but let's try to create a new project. And I'm going to select a PHP as application as my application, and I'm going to just click next, and you can give any name to your project, and I'm going to say feedback project. You can give any name. Okay. And I'm going to just click finish, because there is nothing much I can do with this particular project. And what is that we are supposed to do is we are supposed to create a database wherein we can store all the details in the particular database. Now, these two remark statement which is there, I'm going to just remove it because it's not going to make any difference. Let me go to the XAMPP over here, and I'm going to click on the admin administrative part of this one. You can just click on this admin, and then we will create a new database. This is what they have said, store it in the new database. So I'm going to click on the new here, and it's going to create a new database. You can give any name to your database, but to make it easier to remember, I'm going to just say feedback database. So I will call it as feedback DB. You can give any name, but I will just call it as feedback DB, and just create the database. And within this database, the database just that we have just created, we are going to create a table, and you can again give any name to this. I'm going to call this as a feedback table. Again, whenever you are creating a database or a table or a field, it is advisable not to give the spaces in between. Not that it is not possible to use it, but try to avoid that thing. So I have not put the spaces in between. Feedback table, it's going to be a single word. Now let's look at how many fields are really required. So you have to store the name, email, subject, and message. This is what we are supposed to store it. Optionally, you can create a primary key, that is the auto incremented primary key, and store it, but I'm not going to do that thing. I'm going to just store whatever they have said. So I will go over here, and if I count here 1 2 3 4, and if you notice over the table over here, by default it's going to create 4 columns. So I'm going to just click on this 4 columns, and I'm going to just say create the table with the 4 columns. The first column obviously will be the name, and I'm going to take it as varchar, and I assume that 25 characters will be used. And then they said that email address, so I'm going to use email as the second option over here. So email, And let's assume that this is also varchar, and let's assume that it's going to be 50. Now you may say that it may be more than 50, but during the examination I don't think so. You will type more than 50 characters. Then you have the subject, so you can say subject. Okay, I'm going to take it as varchar. Let's take it as varchar, and then 100 characters. And finally, you have the message. The last one is the message. So I'm going to just type for the message here, and I'm going to again take it as varchar. So all of them will be varchar, maybe 200 characters or 250 characters. So that will be enough for that. So all of them are varchar only, and we are going to store them. There is no primary key. Optionally, you can create a primary key, but I'm not going to do that thing because I unnecessarily don't want to lengthen this particular program. Let it be as simple as possible. So this is what you have: name varchar 25, email varchar 50, subject varchar 100, and message varchar 200. Let's create a save, and our database will be created. And what is that we are supposed to do is when we submit the feedback, we are supposed to store it in the database. So let's go back to the NetBeans, and let's try to create the form here. So I'm going to use h2 here, and I'm going to say feedback. Okay, so let's do that thing, and I'm going to create a form here. So let's say form, and let me take the method of that particular form, and I'm going to take this method as a post, because I'm going to submit the everything. There are a lot of things that need to be submitted. Let me format it by creating a table, and I'm going to use this table. Within this table, I'm going to use a column, the row here. Within this row, we have one column, and let's see. The first one definitely is the name of that particular person. So I'm going to take it as a name. And let me take the second column, and the second column I'm going to take the text box, and I'm going to call it as input, and type of it is text. So let's say, where is this? Type is text. So this is going to be a text input, and then this came out. Let's see. Let me use that text, and let me give a name to this particular thing. So the name, I'm going to give a name as say name itself. So let it be name is name itself. Okay, that will create the first row. Let me create the second row. I'm going to just click on select this and copy paste it. Second one is I suppose the email address. So I'm going to take email. Let me make it as capital E here, and the type of it is definitely email, and the name of it is again email. Let me again copy paste it. Then I have the subject. Let's look at what they've said, the subject. Okay, so then we have the subject, and I'm going to take it as text, and I'm going to call it as subject itself. So because it's going to make a sense. And the last one is the message. Okay, and I'm going to call it as message itself. Okay, so that's it. After this, I'm going to paste one more time, and there is nothing in the first column, and in the second column the type is submit, and the name of it is save button, and the, let's say, value is okay. You can give any thing for the value, and save feedback. I'm going to say save feedback. Okay, anything you can give. Okay, so that's it. Let me just run it. Right click and say just run particular program and just see how is it going to look like. So when I run this particular file, let's see how it's going to look like. I'm going to just run this one, and let's see how it's going to look like. This is the output of this program. So you have the name, email, subject, and the message. Now there are two things that you can do. One is you can assume that this is going to be a text box wherein you are going to type the text. It is absolutely it's not a crime to do that particular thing, but generally, so remember, I have used the simplest the option, that is to use a text box over here. But there is a other option, that is the other option is you can use a text area. So it's up, optionally it's up to you. So there is nobody is going to find fault with you. So instead of this text box, you can use a text area. Now suppose if you know what is the text area, you do it. If you don't know what is this text area all about, then better you follow the text box itself. Nobody is going to find fault with you if you do that particular thing. But I'm going to use the text area just to tell you how what is the difference it's going to make when you run this particular application. So if you notice there, instead of saying input, I said text area, and the name I've given the same name. And the next thing I'm going to do is I will set the number of rows. So let's say number of rows is equal to 4, and number of columns, okay, let's say columns, okay, is equal to say 25 columns. So let me do that thing. Now if you look at this one, I'm going to remove this text box from the previous one, the previous text box that I have added. So this time I'm using text area. Now one thing you must understand, that whenever you are using this text area, you must close that text area with the slash text area. So that you must remember that thing. That's why I use the input. This is type is equal to text. So optional, it's not going to make any difference in the coding, but this is going to give a beautiful look for the program. However, you have to take care that the text area is written, the rows are written, columns are written, and you're closing it with the text area. Now what is the difference? Suppose if I press this one, you notice that this is the difference. There's a subtle difference here, and you people can drag it and make it larger. Okay, so that's going to make the things look bit beautiful. Okay, that's what is the intention. That's the reason why I have used the text area here. However, you can also use the text box. There is nothing wrong in it. Okay, so now let's look at what's going to happen if somebody clicks on the submit button, or this particular button, that is save feedback button. So when somebody clicks on this save button, we are supposed to save it in the database. So I'm going to go over here to the PHP thing over here, and I'm going to say if is set, okay, and because I'm using the post method, remember the method that I'm using for my form is the post method, so that's why I'm using this post. So within this post, we are supposed to give the button name, and that the button name that I have taken is save button. So if somebody clicks on this save button, what is that we are supposed to do it? So that's the thing. We have to first get connected to the database, and then save everything into the database. So I'm going to first take all the values which are submitted to me, like the name, email address, and all these things which are whatever it is submitted over here. I'm going to take all of them and store it in a variable, and then transfer it to the database. So let me do that particular thing. So I'm going to take the name, and you know very well because it's a post method, and I'm going to take the name from the first text box, this one, and I have given the name for it as name itself. So this is the name that I've given, so its name is also name only. Okay, then I will take email, and as usual $_post, and then the type, the name of it is email. So the second name that I've used is the email. I'm going to use the same thing there. The next one is the subject, I suppose. So I'm going to use the subject $_post, and the name of this one is subject. So the input name, if you notice that the name is subject itself, so I'm going to just copy it and then paste it over here. That's the name. And finally I have what is this, what has happened? Okay. Finally what I have here is let me try it one more time, is the message. Okay, dollar message, okay, is equal to again $_post, and then I'm going to use the name of that variable, not this one, the message. So for the message also I've given the name as message itself. Okay, done with that. Now I need to get connected to the database, so I'm going to say connection is equal to new, okay, MySQLi, okay, and I'm going to use this option. The host name is localhost, so I'm going to say localhost. Username is root. Password is not there. So database name, you have to get it. So get the database name. So what is the database name? I'm going to go here and to my MySQL admin, and the name that I have given is the feedback DB. I'm going to just copy this, Control C from here, and then I'm going to just paste it to this place. So that's the database name, and I need a query. So let me write this query. So what is the query that I'm supposed to use it? I'm going to use the MySQL admin. I will go to this MySQL admin, and I have an option for insert. So I'm going to just click on this insert, and I'm going to just try to insert one record into this particular database to just to see how it's going to look. The name I'm going to give as my name itself. So that is my name. Email address is something. And the subject is my subject. I'm going to just subject as subject and message as message. Okay. I'm not going to click on go. I will not click on go here. Rather, I'm going to scroll down. So I will scroll down completely. And there is an option called as preview SQL. So if you scroll down, you have an option to go in preview SQL. I'm going to just click on preview SQL. When I click on this preview SQL, it's going to show me a SQL statement corresponding to my action. I'm going to just take that thing, Control C to copy it. And I'm going to go to my query here, and I'm going to just paste it. However, when you paste this particular thing, there are a lot of things which are not required. So the first thing that is not required is this backcode. That's not really required. If you have spaces in between, then that backcode makes a difference. Otherwise, that backcode is not required. And because I'm going to submit the values in the same order, that means I'm going to first give the name, then email, then subject, and then the message in the same order. So I will remove this part. It's not really required. So the things are going to become like insert into feedback table the values. So this is going to be a simple thing. Now I have to replace the name money with the name that is there in this variable. Similarly, email has to be replaced with this one, and subject, and so on and so forth. So I will just double click on this money, and then I'm going to say $name. Okay. Remember that backquote, the single quote is required because it's a varchar. Single quote is required. Again, I'm going to select this one, money@email.com, and I'm going to say $email. So done. Then again, I'm going to double click and select the subject, and then I'm going to say $subject. Okay. In the same way, I'm going to say $, and I'm going to say message. Get done with that thing. So this is my query, and we are done with the query. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to execute this query, and if this query is successful, I'm going to say the feedback is saved. Otherwise, I'm going to say the feedback is not saved. Now some of you may say that what if the connection is not done? What if you have failed to get connected to the database? Then you have to handle the error, but they have not said that if the connection is failed, you have to handle the error or anything. Nothing is being told there. So I'm not going to waste my time in handling something that is not working. Okay. For the examination, definitely, it is not really required that you take care of each and everything. So let's go ahead and let's go to this connection. And I'm going to say connection and run this particular query. And if you notice that this is the function name and this is the actual query that I'm running, that is insert into and so on and so forth. This is the query. So there are two queries are there, don't get confused. Let me assume that this is going to run. If this is going to run, then I'm going to say echo, and I'm going to use say h3, and I'm going to say feedback is saved. Thank you or anything. You can just say feedback is saved. Okay. You can say thank you for sending your feedback and so on and so forth. You can elaborate and make the things look beautiful, but during the examination, I don't think so. You will have to go with all the options there. Now the second option is I'm going to use the h3 and I'm going to say error. Okay, could not save your feedback. Okay. And say try again and say /h3. Okay, if something has gone bad, and then finally I'm going to go to this connection and I'm going to close this connection. Again, this is not really required because if you when the script runs, when the script closes, automatically the connection is going to close. Okay, the PHP will close the connection for you, but this, if you don't write it, some people, some examiners may say that why you have not done this and so on and so forth. Okay, if this now general case is what if you are not able to connect to the database? Generally, people what they do is if there is an error and they will show that die, cry, and so on and so forth. Remember, if you are not able to connect to the database and if you just show the error message to the user, what do you think the user will do it? When you cannot as a developer you can't connect to a database, what the user can do it? Okay, so just think about that. Okay, so it's like windows can't start and windows is asking you for to do some coding. Do you think you will appreciate the Microsoft option? Suppose Microsoft gives that kind of option. So when you give the error message to the user, assume that they don't know anything about the computer. Okay, and they are, first of all, they will get irritated when they see an error message. That's the first thing. Okay, so for the examination purpose, I have not handled this one. There is one if statement. If at all you want, you add it. Okay, it's not going to make any difference in your life, but if at all you want, you add it. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's I'm going to just press enter, and I'm going to say this is my name, and I'm going to say my email address. Okay, email. Okay, so money at email.com. So I have maybe I've just created too many things. Okay, okay, so feedback regarding practicals. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to say please cancel practical examination. So whether it's going to work or not. So let's say examinations. So if you say just say save, and if you get an error message, then you are in big trouble. So it's going to say feedback is saved. Let me go to the database and let me click on this browse here. So this is the one, that's the browse. So just click on this browse here, just to see whether you are able to save that thing because it's I have typed something and I'm not saved it. It just says that you typed something and you're not saving it. Would you really like to go ahead with that? So if you see the output over here, you will notice that this is the thing that you got, the name, email address regarding practical, please cancel the practical examination. So, and that's the feedback I have given. So this is what you are supposed to do it in your program, and nothing else to be done in this particular thing. Later you can, they said that database for later review. Okay, so they can review it later. That's all in this exercise. Thank you for your interest. We will meet again in the next exercise. Thank you.